Pulled out the plug. Good morning, Marcus Conti reporting. How are you, man? How are you? How you doing, man? How you doing? Are we all lab rats? It occurs to me this morning. There's mounting evidence that the gain of function research that we had suspected was going on, involving taking lab rats and taking spliced viruses and sticking it into their bodies and watching them die. Experimental, of course, for our own gain, so that we could be safe and healthy. It seems like it's going on more and more, and now at this point in the game, it doesn't even look like it's a secret anymore. They're just doing it right out in the open, out there in London, where there are no regulations like we have here. But who pays attention to regulation these days anyway? It doesn't really matter. Are we lab rats? Are we the lab rat? Because say the rats die first, but Why? Why splice together COVID virus, deadly virus with other deadly virus that has about an 80% kill rate in the lab? All right, the last one that snuck out had less than 1%. But what about going forward? What about the viruses that are far more deadly, and one slips out, and it makes its rounds around the globe, killing off 80% of the population, and only the very, very select few will have access to the very, very, very expensive vaccine that might just save your life. So we are, in that respect, we are lab rats. But what about politically? Aren't we just lab rats too? Does our opinion, does our vote really matter? I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and I am getting absolutely bombed with junk. To get out the vote junk in the mail, right? For Oz versus Fetterman, very, very, very hotly contested Senate race here in America, here in Pennsylvania, America. I'll tell you, it looks like the Senate is going to go Senate. I say the House. I misspoke. The House looks like it's going to go Republican. Could you imagine? Wow. Republicans are wrestling the House of Representatives in Congress, out of the hands of the dirty Democrats. So dirty Republicans get a chance, and it looks like Senate, too, is going to tip Republican. It's all going red, guys. It's all going red. Those fucking crazy MAGA megas. It's all going red. So what kind of president does Joe Biden become? They could barely get anything done with, controlling both chambers and the executive branch. Now they're going to lose. They're going to lose the House. They're going to lose the Senate. They've already lost the Supreme Court, right? And so Joe Biden, the old senile man, is going to be standing there with his dick in his hand. If not for the very, very corrupt agencies that will still try to seize power at any at every turn of the screw. So lab rats was the kid that ran into the house and swung a hammer at Paul Pelosi's head, fracturing his skull. Was he a lab rat too? Was he jacked up on something that made him do it? Or was he just another casualty lab rat in the many, many millions of lab rats in America roaming around not knowing what to do? Whose problem? Whose fault was that? Whose fault was the kid that took the hammer to the head? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But good morning, everybody. Vinny DiMartini. Thank you, everybody, for finding us. We're over here on Marcus Conti 2 because we got disemboweled on Marcus Conti 1 for things of a very, very long time ago nature that have no relevance to anything anymore. Accusations of cyberbullying and harassment by this reporter doesn't make any sense. When you review it, it's just it's well, you don't review it because there is no review. It's because of the date. It's because of the date right now. It's leading into the midterm election, and no one's allowed to speak. It's a lockdown. Didn't you hear? Paul Pelosi got hit in the head with a hammer. Shut everybody down. Elon Musk is off to the races too, being asked the question 20 times in a row, will Donald Trump be allowed back on Twitter? And his response was kind of interesting. He did say that that's the most asked question he gets, having been back on Twitter, having been now the CEO of Twitter. And he said that they're making some sort of oversight board at Twitter that will then decide. And he says he's not going to decide himself. He's going to wait till others sit down at the table, and then they'll make that decision. So it looks like Trump, if Trump wants to come back to Twitter, he certainly will be allowed to. So yeah, they're definitely in terms of the lab rat stuff with COVID, it's becoming, as I said, out in the open now, and over there in England, they're doing more of this gain of function research where they splice viruses together with an 80% kill rate, and it's all out in the open now, right? No, this is what we do. And because we've already, the CDC has already changed the definition of gain of function that Rand Paul ran into the ground, so what's in the definition anyway? The point is that they're making deadly viruses in laboratories, then creating vaccines to fight those deadly viruses that they created, and suddenly the deadly virus slips out the back door and kills a lot of people, and we get another lockdown and another human pandemic. People are afraid of, I don't know what they're afraid of these days. They're afraid of so much, but they're afraid of nuclear war, for example. Right? Bombs being, I just heard that in Australia, the United States is allowing Australia to house B-52 bombers, these bomber planes with nuclear bombs. I just read the article on Zero Hedge. I don't know if I have it up, but we'll look at those sorts of things. Sinister resident watching from the Netherlands. Hello from Amsterdam. Good afternoon. I guess good evening to you. So yeah, this is my thumbnail. Over here in America, Sinister, we're dealing with everybody's a lab rat. Oh, and I got Seth Rich. Remember Seth Rich? You remember the young man that was murdered in the street of Washington, D.C., the DNC insider who Julian Assange said snatched the documents from the DNC that proved election fraud and leaked that out to WikiLeaks. We never found out who the WikiLeaks leak was. The dirty Democrats accuse everything that they do themselves is usually Russia. So this was no different. Russia did it. Russia blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline in the Baltic Sea. It was Russia, not the Americans. Over and over and over again. Russia hacked the election. Russia killed Seth Rich. But there's new evidence, I call it evidence, of shenanigans in the case of Seth Rich. There was never a murderers of the guy. The story is he was walking home one evening and was shot dead with two very, very low caliber bullets, a.k.a. assassination style, and left to die in the street. And there was never an investigation. brought, shot right out in the streets of D.C. and a suspect was never brought in. Um, the fact that he was an insider inside the DNC, the FBI never investigated it. And so there's more evidence now to support the idea that it was, in fact, a political hit, that the FBI has asked for 66 years before they will release the information on Seth Rich's laptop because of a FOIA request. Some agency requested the information on Seth Rich's laptop. A judge said, okay, they win, turn over the information on Seth Rich's laptop so everybody could see it. And now the FBI is arguing for 66 years. They need 66 years to release the Seth Rich laptop information. Why? Why, FBI? Someone tell me why. The FBI needs 66 years to release what was on Seth Rich, the insider's laptop. Does it indicate a hit? We got to find that motherfucker who did it. Right? Is there indication of a hit coming and he knew it? Was he trying to save his life? Was he trying to save his life? I don't know, man, but it is interesting, and that's not conspiratorial. That is factual evidence. FBI never investigated and such, so we know these things. We know that he was an insider. We've seen. I mean, if you haven't seen lately, the clip of Julian Assange talking about Seth Rich getting murdered in Florida, the DNC insider. That clip was, infamous in 2016. And, WikiLeaks. Julian Assange still rotting in a cell somewhere in London, Belmarsh prison, waiting to get extradited here to America so he could rot in a prison for the rest of his life. So let's find out. So my name is Marcus Conte. I have a website, and I make videos on a daily basis every morning at 9 a.m. We were on YouTube 1, now we're on YouTube 2. Just if we're ever lost and you're looking for us, come here to marcusconte.com, where you can't touch me here, right? Because it's my website, and I'll tell you where we are. If we're not on YouTube 1 and 2 because of the censorship, we move over to DLive, which has always been rather reliable. So another few days on Marcus Conte 2. If the other one pops back on before the election, we'll go over there. If we're none of those two, we're at DLive. But right here on the top of the page, I put the link right here, and you just click on it. And so let's start here. So the great entrepreneur Elon Musk, who recently bought Twitter, has been asked over and over again, will Donald Trump return to Twitter? And as I said in my monologue, I don't want to get too deep into this. There's he said, this is his quote on Twitter himself. Lead twit: if I had $1 for every time someone asked me if Trump is coming back on this platform, Twitter would be minting money. So according to Elon Musk, the most heavily asked question is Trump coming back to Twitter? And he doesn't say right away. Instead he says that they're forming some kind of Musk himself caused to stir. Where is it? I'm very happy that Twitter is now in sane hands and will no longer be run by radical left lunatics. That's Trump saying it. But Elon Musk says that there's some sort of governance board coming to be on the site, and that he's not going to decide per se about Trump on his own. He's going to let the hirees decide. So he's coming back. If Trump wants to come back on Twitter, he'll be back on Twitter. Elon Musk has made clear that no one deserves a lifelong ban unless it's just a spam account. Trump is the president of the United States. Was. So let's look at this. A little bit more news on the accused. He's not accused. They got him, right? Pelosi attacker was in U.S. illegally on overstayed visa. How about that? How about that? The guy that pounded Pelosi's head into the ground is an illegal. But where is he from? He doesn't look Mexican. He doesn't look like an Ecuadorian. Is he from Afghanistan or Syria? Or maybe somewhere else? It turns out he's a Canadian refugee, Dave DePape, French name, DePape, who was hit with federal charges Monday in the violent attack on 82-year-old Pelosi, was in the U.S. illegally because he overstayed his visa. Now, how long ago, right? 42-year-old suspect was born in Canada in 1980. So that makes him, and then he was in the U.S. as early as 2001. So, come on, man. It was 21 years ago. He hops the border of Canada, like many people do, or used to do. Now it goes the other way. You got Americans roaming all over Canada trying to get the fuck out of here. But back then, everybody wanted to, from Canada wanted to come here for some sort of opportunity that they thought existed. And now they got stuck here. So he's from Canada, and he came here 21 years ago, and he has a Social Security card, and he obtained his Social Security card in Hawaii. But you talk about the irony. Democrats are all about open borders. So now all of a sudden we find out that an open border guy, because Canada is technically an open border. I'm sure there's miles and miles and miles of property up there in Canada at the American border along Montana and every other border state, probably right over in New York too, where you could just walk right into Canada. So open borders, the perpetrators and the celebrants of open borders are in a bit of a situation here, because the guy that attacked Pelosi is one of them, right? And he's not Mexican either. So he didn't come over the southern border. He came over the northern border. It's unclear how long DePape stayed in the country past the legal threshold. Well, anything past 6 months. If you're here and you have a visa, you get a 6-month visa. That's the stamp. If you don't have one, then you're immediately illegal. If you have one and it expires, you're illegal when it expires. Why is that so hard to figure out? So they'll probably hit him with a border jumping charge too. But I just wanted to point it out that that's all we knew about the Pelosi attacker, is that and it's incredible that Paul Pelosi is in Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. Now, is it the same Zuckerberg from Facebook? Is that the Zuckerberg we're talking about? Well, he's an illegal, and there you go, man. So, whatever it's worth. So as I said earlier, FBI asks court for 66 years to release Seth Rich laptop information. Breaking news. The FBI is asking a U.S. court to reverse its order that it produce information from Seth Rich's laptop computer. If the court does not allow them to not produce it, the Bureau wants 66 years to produce the information. Now, why 66 years? Because in 66 years, everybody, certainly all his parents, Seth Rich's, immediate family, older than him, will be dead, right? Seth Rich himself, if he's still alive in Israel somewhere, which I don't believe, I think they killed him. I think he was whacked. No doubt about it. I don't think he's some agent fucking stupid, right? He was whacked, right, by the DNC, it seems. Rich was a Democratic National Committee staffer when he was killed on the streets in Washington in mid-2016. No person has ever been arrested in connection to the murder. All fact. No hyperbole, no conspiracy theory so far. Right? Are you listening, bots? Are you listening, bots? This is not conspiracy. This is fact. Fact. Right? He was a Democratic National Committee staffer. What do you want to do? You want to change that fact too? What do you want to do? Say that he didn't work for the DNC as a high-ranking election outreach official and had access to everything, all the passwords right to the top? You want to say that that's not true? Well, it is true. And he was killed on the street in Washington, D.C. at 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 shots in the back, right? No gun, no ballistics. They revealed nothing about his murder, right? So U.S. District Judge Amos Mazante, an Obama appointee, ruled in September that the Bureau, FBI, must hand over all information from the computer to Brian Huddleston, a Texas man who filed the Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request. So, I would say, Mr. Brian Huddleston, watch your ass, right? You want to paint a target on your back? Huh. So we'll keep an eye on this guy. I hope Brian is in good hands. I hope Brian knows what he's doing. He's blowing the whistle on the FBI, who has incredibly incriminating information about why are you not giving it up? Why do you need... What explanation could you possibly come up with that says we have to hold on to this for 66 years? Well, the FBI actually has one. They say, well, this was never investigated by the FBI. Therefore, we never investigated the laptop. Therefore, we don't have immediate access to the laptop. This is the kind of fucking word salad they put out there. There is no reason why they need 66 years other than to make the story go away for a long, long time. No one's going to remember this in 66 years. They may flip open a page in history and say, oh, yeah, we believe the FBI may have whacked this guy because of some kind of... It's just like the just like the FDR. Not FDR, fucking Kennedy. JFK hit, right? It's just like the JFK hit, right? Sort of. Right? Who killed Seth Rich? I don't want to go back there, but here he is, Seth Rich, a Bernie Sanders supporter who was pissed off like millions and millions and millions of Bernie Sanders supporters in 2016 when they got ripped off by the DNC, kicked out of the Democratic National Convention, escorted out, humiliated, stripped of their credentials, robbed in open court. Jared Beck, Elizabeth Beck, the attorneys at the DNC fraud lawsuit, remember, found out that the DNC and the Democrats pick the candidate, the primary candidate. There is no election. Oh, yeah, there's an election, but we don't really count that. That's just for show. That's just to rally the lab rats into one room so we can either get them to, capitulate and vote for our guy, or we kill them. That's what happened here. There he is. Not a theory. Not a theory. The evidence goes in the direction of murder. Well, it's not it's not debatable. Did he get murdered? Yeah, he got. How did 2 bullets end up in someone's back? It's murder. He was murdered on the streets of DC. He worked for the DNC during the 2016 fucking, shenanigans, right? And then moments later, Julian Assange releases the WikiLeaks dump. Who dumped the dump? Who gave it to him? It's Seth Rich, right? And then what did the dirty Democrats do? They dump it on Trump. The Steele dossier. Trump is in bed with the Russians. The Russians hacked the DNC. The Russians blew up the Baltic fucking pipeline. The Russians, hacked the 2016. The Russians, right? Everybody's Russian. The Russians did everything, right? Well, if we want to find out if the Russians hacked the election, why don't we open up Seth Rich's laptop and find out? Because he had all of the correspondence, and you're going to tell me what you're going to tell what you'll see on Seth Rich's laptop is enormous contradictions from what CrowdStrike and the dirty Democrats did during that era. That's what you'll find out. If you look deep into Seth Rich's laptop, you'll see the actual communications between Clinton, Obama, Robbie Mook, John Podesta, Donna Brazil, who was at CNN, back and forth, negotiating the hit against Trump. How are we going to get him? First it was Sanders, then it was Trump, right? And remember, Seth Rich's hit happened in June of 2016. The whole Trump shit happened later, right? This happened first. You remember? I guess it was 2015. But the Seth Rich saga was 6 months before the election. And Seth Rich and like-minded people left the DNC. They got kicked out. So it is a fascinating story. I think the only breaking news here is that the FBI confirms that they have the laptop. That's pretty good. But they're not going to give it up. And really, even if they do you really, really think that they're going to give up the real shit when they're responsible for it? No, they're not going to do it. But also keep an eye on this guy, Brian Huddleston. Watch yourself, man. Just watch out. So leaked documents reveal shocking extent of the DHS's disinfo collusion with Twitter and Facebook, and of course Google too. So in August, Mark Zuckerberg admitted to Joe Rogan that the FBI approached the company warning of Russian propaganda. How many times do we have to see this? How many times Russian propaganda? That was to make the Hunter Biden laptop go away. Right? Now we have the Hunter Biden laptop, and we know what was on it. We know that there was, in fact, quid pro quo with the big guy, Joe Biden, taking favors, siding with Russian oligarchs, taking their money, offering favors in return, quid pro quo. But new documents are coming out. Basically, the background is the FBI, I think, basically came to us. So FBI implicated again. Why don't we get rid of these agencies? Why don't we start over? Get rid of CIA, FBI, DHS. Get rid of these fucking agencies once and for all and start over. Is the government so corrupt that we can't do it? Is that the problem? Is that it's so lawless that the ways in which these agencies operate is unfixable. Right? It's a runaway train. We can't eliminate the FBI. Then, that's our number one, criminal justice fucking police enforcement. We can't get rid of them. What are we saying about our great nation? We also can't acknowledge election fraud in this country, right? Election shenanigans in this country. We're not capable of doing it because what does it say about everybody who was, quote, elected prior to the discovery that we would find that the elections are not on the up and up? Right? Evidence everywhere to support that, that allegation. And are we still alive? Are we still allowed to speak? We're still speaking. I guess I'm still here. But so, there's more. We know that Zuckerberg lied. I want to break to the markets and, let's go now. Right? Let's go now. And then we'll talk about potentially lethal new super strand of COVID created in London. Oh, great. I can't wait. Also, there's a rocket taking off in a few minutes. It looks like 3 minutes. 3 minutes. We'll watch the rocket take off. We're going to watch the rocket take off. SpaceX is shooting one off.
3 minutes to go.
3 minutes to go. We'll watch that together. But right now, look at the markets. And ding! Whoa! All right, we're up. The markets are up right now. NASDAQ is up 127. Dow up, looks like 200. Everything green. Look at my board. My board is totally green this morning. Apple up $1. Amazon up 70 cents. Google up 26 cents. Facebook, formerly Facebook Meta, up $1. Microsoft up $1.50. Tesla up 7. Walmart up $1. Everything green. The only thing that's red looks like BitChute. Not BitChute. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down. I don't really follow Bitcoin, so I don't know. War stocks, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing mixed. Lockheed Martin down $1. Raytheon, the military-industrial complex stocks, Raytheon up 60 cents. The holy grail vaccine stocks, the stocks that make you safe via your arm, injecting stuff into your arm. Because we made it. We made the virus, and now we made the vaccine too. So you need it. The guys who make that stuff and traffic in it. Pfizer up $1.50. Johnson & Johnson down 11 cents. Moderna up $6.71 or 5%. Holy smokes. Moderna is knocking the skin off the virus. Right? Vaccine peddlers. The vaccine peddlers. So on the note of vaccine, look at this. Potentially lethal super strand of COVID created in London lab. London lab creating. I thought we weren't supposed to do that. I thought that was a bad idea. I thought we caught the dirty Chinese in Wuhan making viruses and we condemned it. We said, look at how fucking savage these people are. They're making deadly viruses and one slipped out. I think at this point it's almost inescapable that the COVID virus, SARS, COVID, was spliced together in a lab. I don't think is that still disputable at this point? It was very obvious right from the get-go, but I guess it's maybe disputed. I don't know. But nonetheless, it was created in a fucking lab. And they're still doing it. Do humans have the ability to learn anything? Do humans have the goddamn ability to self-reflect and said, we fucked up. We made a virus and it slipped out the lab and it made its rounds around the globe and We were a little lucky because it didn't really kill a lot of people, but nonetheless, it took the place of the common flu and scared the fucking shit out of millions and billions of people all across the globe to the point of washing their hands every 30 seconds, not wanting to kiss their grandmother, wearing masks, injecting themselves 4, 5, and 12 times with vaccine. So it had a bad effect. It's rocking an economy, causing a nation like America to print $2 trillion, hand it out like it was candy, and then crash the economy, causing inflation and such, right? It had a bad effect, right? The economic effect and the social ramifications of COVID-19 are far worse than the actual strand was, I believe. But here we go again. In London, a potentially deadly new strand of COVID has been created in a university lab in London, according to the report. So here we go. We wanted to stop it, but here we go again. So the Daily Mail reports. Let's look right at the Daily Mail report. There it is. UK scientists created mutant COVID strands in high-risk, low-benefit lab experiments. Hamsters were infected with mutant viruses, blends of original Wuhan strand, and parts of Omicron and Delta. Critics of the lab experiment carried out by Imperial College London earlier this year called it insanity. 20 scientists were involved in the project, including one who sits on the Government Advisory Panel, SAG. But the university insists the study, part funded by taxpayers, followed UK regulations and was entirely safe. What do you think they're going to do? Say, oh yeah, we broke the regulations and it's very dangerous. Of course they're going to say that. Right? Of course they're going to say that. Our revelation comes amid ongoing furore. What does this word mean? Furore. What does that mean? What is that word? I found the word that I don't know. An outbreak of public fury. Is it? Oh, fury. Public fury. Fury. Wow. That word stumped me for some reason. I have brain freezes every once in a while. I'm getting old. Our revelation comes amid ongoing fury over similar COVID experiments in the U.S. at Boston University, where Boston University was able to do the same type of, gain of function research, gaining the function of the virus to the point of being able to kill 80% of the rodents that they stuck the thing into. Now, the hamster has no fucking say in the matter, really. That's what the labs look like. They're oh yeah, we're safe. Oh, well, why? Who cares if it's safe? Didn't they say this one was safe? You remember the fucking, what was that? The Wuhan lady. Here she is. Where is she? There's a picture of her somewhere. Yeah, over here. You remember this lady? Xi Jinping. Nickname Bat Lady. That's Bat Lady. Remember Bat Lady? The Wuhan lab. Look, we're strolling down memory lane. Nobody forgets. Nobody remembers anything. It's like there's a built-in kind of forgetting device with humanity, right? SARS, COVID V2, spliced together, impossible for it to have happened naturally. And the poor mouse, man. Look at this poor hamster. Fucking him and 100 of his brothers and sisters dosed with virus for no fucking reason at all. Well, maybe there is a reason. Maybe the reason is if you've got a virus that you could load onto the head of a fucking, deliverance device, you could kill 80% of the people that it hits. So the war ramification, the ramification of a bioweapon is really, really, really the issue here. Is really the issue. So they're doing it again. That's all I wanted to say about it. That's all I really wanted to say here is that it's now out in the open for the public to see. We do this research to keep you safe. And don't worry about it. We'll have a vaccine if the virus that we make should slip out. We'll get that vaccine for you. No problem. Joe Biden will get it right into every arm in America. We got 150 million shots in the arm. Right? These are the people. You're a fucking lab rat, man. All of us. Look at yourself in the mirror when the show's over, right? And the piano playing stops. Go in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I am a fucking lab rat. I am a victim of corporate and imperialistic greed. I can't speak. I can't say what's on my mind. If I do, I get put in a box and the box disappears. I can't regulate what flows into my own body, sort of. But if I should cry foul, I'll lose my occupation. I won't be able to pay my bills. I'll starve to death. I'll be a lonely motherfucker. Or they might just kill me like Seth Rich. I might get whacked. I may get whacked on the streets of D.C., you know. What else I got? Oh, yeah, the space shot. Oh, man, I missed it. Oh, fuck, I missed it. Did I miss it? Let's watch. On a cloudy day. Yeah, so SpaceX is shooting off a rocket. It's a cloudy day. Look at the shitty clouds. Wow, what a horrible imagery coming out of NASA right now. It's cloudy. Yeah, I can hear the conspiracy theorists already. It's cloudy because it can't happen. It's a fake rocket, man. It's fake. They're going to the fake moon. The Earth is flat. Don't you know anything, man? It's all fucking fake. That's why they put the clouds on the screen so you can't see it. Look, see, there's your evidence. It's fake.